Hello there, you're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We'll also be doing a box office breakdown for the major blockbusters of the summer movie season that we've just completed. And that also means it is time for a box office draft update.
Then we'll do quick reviews for some of the summer movies Ryan saw, but hasn't been able to talk about on the show until right now. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Very much missed my time on the show, being with you every week.
Aw.
Again, it was a routine for like years. We've had this routine. And so I think this is the first time in legitimate years that I haven't been able to see you, at least on the computer screen, or hear your voice as we go through the movies and shows that we've watched. So it was a weird time, but I'm glad to be back finally. Yeah, summer, it was crazy, very packed, very busy as I was making my own indie film. But yeah, I'm so excited to be returning to the show and be able to have a lot more insights into how movies are made and just how much of a miracle every single film is. So, yeah, that'll definitely be informing how I review things going forward. Because, hey, it ain't easy.
All right, let's do our box office breakdown for summer 2024. We're going to go through all of the major hits, what they ended up making total, what they made in their opening weekends, and what they made domestically and worldwide in their runs, and what they're still continuing to make if they're still going through their runs. Let's start with the first major hit of the summer, Furiosa, which came out May 24th. Its opening weekend was 26 million. Its final domestic total was 67 million, and its worldwide total was 172 million. Comparing that to Fury Road, which made 154 million domestically and 380 million worldwide. I reported this when it came out, and I was talking about how kind of disappointing it was. Very, very sad opening weekend compared to the budget. Very, very sad opening weekend compared to Fury Road, and that I was really sad to see George Miller's Fury or Mad Max universe kind of fall to the side. Kind of fall apart in that way. Very, very disappointing.
It was disappointing. I mean, even Fury Road, which was a phenomenal film back in 2015, making 380 million, like it deserved to make far more than that.
Certainly.
But now things have obviously changed in a much different landscape. And so Furiosa, despite being, a great actioner, a very unique actioner, it did not make a lot of money at all, did not make a big splash. And that was at the, still early on in the summer movie season. We had talked about on the show before I left, The Fall Guy also having an underperformance compared to, what we thought it would as a summer blockbuster. So it was unfortunate to see that Furiosa did not, make waves and earn a whole lot of money. Again, coming in well below what Fury Road did. So this is almost certainly going to be the last Mad Max film. I mean, George Miller is also crazy old, but I mean, that man loves to work apparently well into his 80s, so he'd probably make another one if they would let him. But I don't think they're going to let him, unfortunately, based on that performance.
Yeah.
But the summer movie season got a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a jump start later on in June with Bad Boys Ride or Die, the fourth film in that franchise. Will Smith's big return after the Oscar slap. And it made waves. An opening weekend of 56 million, a domestic total of 193 million, and worldwide it cracked 400 million, which puts it pretty close to Bad Boys for Life with 206 million domestic and 426 million worldwide. So that was when things didn't seem so dire for the summer movie season. And then things truly had a full turnaround the following week.
Yeah.
With Inside Out 2.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan.
Oh, man.
I was very busy with my film during this period in time.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, I am a box office junkie. And plus, I get bombarded with film news no matter what. So anytime I check my phone, I'm going to see that inevitably. So just know I was I was aware of what was
Oh,
happening,
good.
and I was also aware of how much gloating you would be doing.
I thought
So
about texting you while it was happening, and I thought,
yeah,
no, no, that's too much. It's too far. He's so busy. He's so stressed. It would be too much of a slap in the face to also text him a good fuck you about this. So I let it alone
no,
until now. And oh my god, I you got to go back and you got to listen to the episodes from that period of time because oh my god, I was so ecstatic. It was insane. Inside Out 2, June 14th, opening weekend, $154 million domestically. 154 million right out the gates.
hmm
Insane. Domestic total,
yeah,
$643 million. Highest grossing animated film ever. Worldwide, current total, 1.63 billion, motherfucker. Billion. Oh my
hmm
god. Currently the 10th
which
highest
makes
grossing
it
film of all time and may dethrone the 2019 Lion King as the highest grossing animated if you consider those CGI live action movies animated, which technically they are because it's all CGI animation, technically. But if you
yeah,
don't, then it currently is the highest grossing animated movie.
indeed, yeah. It booted out Frozen 2 for that title, but again, that's just a weird thing that they're doing. I mean, yeah, 2019 Lion King is entirely CGI, so I think that's the true mark it needs to beat, and it's very close. It looks like it's going to be able to do that because it only, yeah, needs what 30 million more. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it'll it'll be able to take that crown as well. That's absurd. That's ridiculous.
It has
That's
made twice as much
cannot
as
believe.
the first Inside Out. Twice as
Yes.
much. How do you explain
Yeah.
that? How do you explain that? Nostalgia?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, all the like kids that grow up watching it. I mean, now they're old enough to go to it, but it's not like they're old enough now to have kids to bring to it. It's just a hugely popular four quadrant film, family friendly. You can go and see it with anyone,
Yeah.
and that's why it did so well. I mean, we knew it would be huge. We knew it was going to be $1 billion film, but this is absurd. It had the huge breakout, and I mean, like we said, top 10 all time ever. That is
Never
a
in my
massive,
wildest dreams
massive
did I ever think it
overperformance.
would make this much money. I guessed
Yeah,
900 million. It made 600 million more than my guess. 700 million more, I should say. What are the
yeah,
fucking odds of
it
that?
was a
I did
monster.
not think it would make this much money. Insane.
hmm So, congrats on that. Inside Out
Thank you.
2, doing gangbusters. After that, we had A Quiet Place, day one. June 28th is when that hit theaters. It had an opening of 52 million. So again, June, fully turned things around, had great blockbusters back to back. Obviously, Inside Out leading the pack, but yeah, Bad Boys and Quiet Place doing great for their franchises. Domestically, this one made 138 million. Worldwide, 261 million, which again puts it a little bit behind its predecessor, A Quiet Place Part 2, that had almost 300 million worldwide, but it's within spitting distance. It's
Yeah.
it's fairly close. So
Still doing well, yeah.
the Bad Boys and Quiet Place franchises will continue on, I am sure.
Indeed. And then following that was one of your movies, one of your big roster pick, the one that was going to be leading the pack, presumably, was Despicable Me 4. Came out July 3rd. Its opening weekend was 75 million, which is a strong start, relatively. Its domestic total was 342 million, and its worldwide total was 850 million, compared to its predecessor, Minions: Rise of Gru, which made 940 million in its run. So a little disappointing, a little bit below the expectation. I had it pinned at crossing a billion and didn't quite make it.
Yeah, me too. I thought this was going to be a shoe in for a Billy, and it
Usually
is
is
falling short. It'll be able to get probably to 900 million with the remainder of its run, but
not
it is
quite
not going to hit a
1.6.
billion. And it certainly did not have the massive overperformance that Inside Out 2 had. So that's a shame because these were the two top picks that we had. Yours was Inside Out 2. Mine was Despicable Me 4 is going to be animated, films leading the pack for each of our rosters.
Yeah.
and mine did not live up,
Bummer.
unfortunately.
Dude, I went and saw Inside Out 2 opening weekend. I remember sitting in the mega packed theater where it was Waterford Lakes. It was jammed with people in the lobby. I sat down in the theater. Every seat almost was taken. And I was like, ooh, this is the big one. This is gonna be good.
Mhm.
This is gonna it was the last time I felt that was Barbenheimer. Was like, this is gonna be good.
Dang, dang. Long Legs, July 12th, a smaller film compared to all the other ones, but this was a big success in its own right. Being from a smaller distributor, Neon made 22 million in its opening, which was the record for that distributor. Domestically, it's made 72 million, and worldwide, 100 million. So it did really well compared to what its budget was, and all the comparison titles that it had. I think even domestically, it made more than Parasite did. Worldwide, I think Parasite still holds the record for Neon, but
Hmm.
Longlegs did really well there. And the following week, Twisters came out, which was in my roster. And again, I was observing it. This was after I had finished filming, so I was looking at Twisters. I wanted to be a part of the opening weekend as well to give it that boost. So I was able to convince my dad, who was very reluctant to see it for some reason. But I was like, yeah, we got to go see it. I need to make sure one of my films does great. And its opening weekend was 81 million. It was tracking initially for like 50, 60 million, and it got 81 million
Which is
in its
awesome.
opening weekend. The same number as Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Now, I was nowhere near optimistic or crazy enough to think it was going to have a Oppenheimer like run, but I was like, this is looking good domestically. It's looking good, and then internationally, people do not care about tornadoes. Apparently, they just
Nope.
do not care.
They don't give a fuck.
Domestically,
They
this
don't
has
get
made
tornadoes, bro.
240 million. 240 million worldwide. It's made 335 million.
Sad.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's really rough. Compared to the original Twister,
It came out
its
30 years
domestic
ago.
total was 241 million, and then its worldwide was 494 million. So again, domestically, obviously, inflation makes this a whole lot less impressive. But
Yeah.
at least domestically, it's hitting the same numbers. But worldwide, it is
Still though,
not. And
30
that's the
years
thing.
ago.
Yeah. The
Rough.
so it did not do a Top Gun Maverick, which is what I was hoping for, a long delayed legacy sequel. That did not come to pass. And even just internationally, it did not have the same sort of split that the original Twister had, which even that would have been great. I mean, not great, but would have been more okay to deal with
Sorry,
as
man.
far as
Nobody gives a
my
fuck
roster and
about
overall numbers.
tornadoes.
Apparently not. You would think that they'd be like, "Oh, this weird natural phenomenon that we don't experience. Let's watch a movie about it and see how crazy that is." But no,
Yeah,
they
sorry,
do not
bro.
care.
They don't give a fuck. And then the last big hit of the summer, the one to close it all out, Deadpool and Wolverine coming at the tail end of July. Opening weekend, $211 million in the opening weekend alone.
For an
Sixth,
R-rated film,
yeah, sixth highest opening of all time. Domestic total, 553 million. It dethroned Passion of the Christ as the highest grossing R-rated film domestically, and its worldwide total is 1.15 billion so far, dethroning Joker as the highest R-rated movie of all time. Killing it. This was another one on my roster. Ryan, are you crying inside?
it was ridiculous.
Oh
That
yeah.
weekend, seeing all the estimates going up and up and up. And again, this is a weird thing for Inside Out 2 and Deadpool. I was not there opening weekend. Every other like record holding film or major film that's had like huge openings, I've been there opening weekend. Like since Star Wars in 2015. Um, I've been there for these like big record breaking opening weekends. This is the one time that I'm not. So it's absurd to think like 211 million worth of people were packed in the theaters, and I was not. I don't know what I was doing that thing, but I was not attending. I still haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's doing crazy numbers. So I mean, yeah, we knew this would be a strong hit. I think it was in both of our like top threes Um, so we knew it would be a massive hit, but this is also overperforming like crazy. Again, setting records domestically, worldwide. The opening, of course, certainly the far and away the biggest R-rated opening, sixth highest opening ever, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It's
That is
awesome.
truly crazy. So, yeah, this and Inside Out 2, the 1-2 punch of summer, very clearly outshining Despicable Me 4 and Twisters. So, as far as the box office draft update, you don't need to be a mathematician to know where this is going, but as far as the numbers, I have calculated them. I'm going to pull them up on my calculator. They were
Please
saved.
do. Oh yeah.
So, Dylan,
Yeah.
you currently, of the 4 movies that you have, which are Dune 2, I Hate You,
Mm-hmm.
Despicable, or not Despicable, Kung Fu Panda 4,
Yep.
um, and then Inside Out 2, and then Deadpool and Wolverine. So, the combined total of those films so far, because again, Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine still in their runs, but so far, at this moment in time, $4 billion. 4.04 billion.
And what movie do I have left in my roster? What is my last movie that's coming out?
We'll get to that. We'll talk about what
Okay.
the future holds
Okay.
for us.
Well,
But as far
let's
as
just remember
my
that
tally,
number. Let's remember that number 4
because
billion.
remember,
Let's remember that.
hold your breath here.
Okay.
You don't know if you're in the lead yet. Let me tally up my stuff, and we'll see.
Sure.
We'll see what's
Sure.
happening.
You could be close.
So
You could be very close.
yeah, so it could be neck and neck. So of the 3 films I have that have released, Inside Out, or not Inside Out,
Despicable Me
I wish
4,
Inside Out.
Godzilla, X
Despicable Me
Kong, and
4,
Twisters.
Twisters, Godzilla X Kong. So those 3 films combined give me a total of $1.75 billion
Woohoo! I have
for a difference
oh god.
of $2.3 billion.
Oh man, I have such a fucking lead on you, man. Do you give up? You can just give up already, man.
So
Let's go
it's
over
not over.
why you should give up. What is the movie I have left? Say
You
it.
have
Say it.
Joker
Say my
2,
name.
Joker Folie à Deux. You
Which
got that.
is guaranteed to make at least near $1 billion. So let's call it $1 billion. Let's just call it $1 billion. That gives me a $5 billion total, which means you have to close the gap by $3.2 billion. And your 2 movies left are Moana 2 and Mufasa. Do you think combined those 2 movies can make $3 billion?
So here's what I need.
Uh-huh.
Here is what I need.
Here's what
Okay,
you
this
need,
is the
buddy.
path. This is
Uh-huh.
the path to victory.
Path to
Okay.
victory. You got to swap a movie out, motherfucker.
Yeah. So if Lion King does what the first Lion King did, if it
Nope.
matches that, that gives
Nope.
me 1,600. I'm just using that for my calculations here, but that's 1.6 billion. And if Moana 2 pulls a Frozen 2 or an Inside Out 2, let's put that at 1.5 billion.
Won't happen.
That gives me 3.1 billion. So the only hope I have is for Moana 2 and Mufasa to have over performances that match or exceed Inside Out 2.
Nope.
So that's
That's a fucking
where we're
long
going.
shot, buddy. You could risk swapping out. What was your lowest movie? Is it Twisters?
Yeah.
Twisters is your lowest performing movie. Do you think there's a movie coming out that you could swap it with that might perform better? There's one that I think could perform better than Twisters. I won't say what it
I
is.
mean,
I'm
there's
giving you the
certainly
fucking
got to be one
lingo.
that's better than 335 million.
Sure.
Undoubtedly, there
I
must
can
be.
think of one comes to mind. I think you should swap with it.
Mm-hmm. But you won't say.
No. I'll say when we
Not
do our
confident
final
enough.
tally
You
in
don't think
6
you-
months. I'm not giving you a leg up when I have such a lead. I could, but I'm not gonna.
A leg up when you have such a lead. What are you talking about? You're in the lead by $2.2 billion.
I risk nothing.
That's more. Your lead is more than the amount I have currently. And you're concerned about a leg up.
Dude, I'm fucking killing it. Oh my god, dude. I won. Did I win the last box office draft? I did, didn't I?
You did, yeah, with
2 in a
Barbenheimer.
row.
You're
2 in a row,
freaking
baby. We're
absurd
going for
thing.
2, and I'm gonna win the Oscar draft. Ooh, ooh, it feels
So
good.
you say, but nah. I'm gonna come in same thing I did last time. I get pissed off when I lose the box office draft, and I come in methodically like a killer, and then boom,
I'm
destroyed
gonna
you.
win the coin toss.
So
I'm gonna get Dune 2 before you,
I would
and then you're gonna kill
reach through the
yourself.
screen and choke you, bro. That'd be crazy.
It's gonna be
So
awesome. I
yeah,
can't wait to win the
that's
coin
where we
toss.
stand. I have Moana 2. That's what really did it this time too. You won the coin toss, and that
Uh-huh,
Inside Out 2
sure.
that was vicious.
Sure it did.
And then I mean, it is again. We would have chosen you having it's Inside Out 2 and Deadpool. That's a double whammy. That's too much, too
You
powerful.
had the opportunity to pick Deadpool, and you didn't. You picked Despicable Me 4, which was a mistake.
Um, yeah,
Because I think Despicable Me 4 was a safer choice. It was guaranteed to make a billion, which unfortunately it didn't, but it's going to get close. Deadpool and Wolverine was the risk of like, there's so much nostalgia involved in it that it could do gangbuster numbers, you know?
but you could choose that because you already had Inside Out 2,
That's
which was
correct.
guaranteed a billion as well. So that's why it made
And I
sense
just
for
got
that to
lucky
be the
that
next
Inside
one.
Out 2 overperformed like a motherfucker.
Oh yeah,
But then you had
it
the opportunity
was
to get Joker 2 and Dune 2, and you didn't pick either. You picked Moana 2 and Mufasa instead of either of
yeah, that
those.
wasn't quite the order that it was in,
It
but
was. I
I
picked.
remain. I think the Joker one. We'll see how that goes, but I don't think that'll overperform. I think that might.
I think it'll make a Billy.
We'll see. We'll see. It might underperform. And then Moana 2 Mufasa. I mean, yeah, the Mufasa one. I'm praying to God that Barry Jenkins has something up his sleeve for that.
I hope it fucking
Because
bombs.
if that truly is, he just did that for the paycheck.
Ah,
I'm
dude,
screwed. I'm
you're
done.
so fucked. I hope it fucking
So
bombs.
that's the state of the race.
Does it have a China
That's where we're
release?
at. The Lion King.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Mufasa
I'm
movie.
sure it will.
Okay,
Dude, Alien is doing well in China right now, which
that's
is
awesome.
kind of odd to see. You wouldn't expect that. So China, yeah, is still in play for certain movies. Hopefully, Mufasa and Moana 2 will be the ones. Joker will not be over there, that's for sure. But it didn't need it the first time when it got a billion. But
Nope.
yeah, segueing into our box office breakdown for August 16th to the 18th, talking about Alien Romulus. That one debuted to 42 million domestically.
Awesome.
So a very nice, solid hit for that franchise.
Yeah, good steady paycheck for them. Following that was Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's like fourth weekend now with 30 million, still holding on in second, doing fantastic, still killing it.
Indeed.
Fairly good
I
legs
think,
for
yeah,
a superhero movie.
it was. I think it was yeah, third or fourth.
Yeah,
Either way, still crazy. That's
that's pretty
making like
good.
30 million. Um, it was over. It ends with us. 23.8 million. That made 50 million in its debut, which is also
Really good.
crazy to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, great for them. Again, an adaptation of a very popular book. So people came out for it, and it's making a huge amount of money. Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, a 1-2 punch
Power
for them.
couple.
A
Yeah.
good,
After
a
that was
good day
Twisters with
in the
10
household.
million.
Coraline, 9 million with its 15th anniversary. That's huge.
In its seventh week, Despicable Me 4 made 6.2 million. So Ryan is still holding on. It's still there.
Every little bit counts. Trap with 3.4 million. That has made 35 million domestic so far and 63 million worldwide. So another decent hit for Shyamalan, who self funds his films. So that'll
Which I
probably
love. He's my
be a good
hero,
return
dude.
for him.
M. Night Shyamalan self-financing his films. He's my fucking hero. I love him. I love him to death. I'm so impressed. That's the dream, dude. Just to make like mid to low budget movies that you self-finance. That's the fucking dream. He's my hero for sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And in its 10th week, Inside Out 2 with 3.4 million. Still holding on. Let's go. Still there. Both of those movies still in the top 10. Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine. Killing it.
Woman 2, Terror of the Headless, 2.5 million. Yes, that's a real film.
Borderlands 2.4 million with a 13.6 million domestic total. That's a bomb, dude. That's a heavy bomb. That's a bigger bomb than the actual bomb that Oppenheimer dropped.
Yeah, it's rough. It didn't make double digits in its opening weekend, which is atrocious to see because it has 100 million budget, something like that, probably more, and it's in a neck and neck race with Harold and the Purple Crayon, 1.1 million. With it's my return to the show. We had to have a typo in there somewhere. The
God,
Purple Carry On.
God, you and your typos, man. I wish I had read that one because I would have read it as is.
The
Harold and the
Purple
Purple
Carry On.
Carry On. You got the best
So yeah, at least
typos,
it wasn't
Ryan.
a person's name that I like butchered there, but yeah. So that has 15.7 million domestic. So imagine if Borderlands doesn't beat Zachary Levi's Harold and the Purple Crayon. So yeah, they're in a race for the biggest bomb, biggest disappointment. But as far as the rest of the top 10, Alien Romulus, Deadpool Wolverine, all of them
It's been a solid
doing
summer.
great.
It's been really good,
It has been. Again,
especially
it
for a
was
movie or
very
a summer that like has one superhero movie. It's been a lot of sequels. This is like the year of the sequel for sure. But everything's doing pretty well. It's crazy. I was looking at our box office draft rosters, and everything is a sequel except for Mufasa, which is technically a prequel, which is still just the continuation of a series. Every single
yeah.
one of them, which is insane.
I think it's always been that way. I don't know if there's been one pure IP
I mean,
thing or like non IP
there
thing
was
that we've ever had in our
you had
draft.
Dune, which was a big one. At least the first. It was the first Dune.
Yeah, but those are all still. I mean, Dune is like a massive IP of.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
that is like the sci-fi book. So yeah, it'll be interesting if we ever have a purely original film. But I don't know. It would have to be like Nolan's next thing if he did an original.
Oh yeah, we had Oppenheimer on the list and Barbie.
Yeah,
So and
those are
oh wait,
Barbie's an
no,
IP.
we missed Top Gun Maverick, and that's still a sequel. God, that'll always be the biggest
The one that
whiff,
got away.
bro. The biggest whiff of our show is neither of us picking Top Gun Maverick.
That was a great surprise. And again, Barbie 2. We haven't had a surprise like that. Again, we knew Inside Out 2 would be big, Deadpool and Wolverine would be big. It just very much overperformed, but we haven't had that like true underdog that no one expected. Again, I thought
Hey
Twisters
man, I
had something
picked
there, but
Barbie. Barbie
it
was
didn't happen.
my wild choice at the end of the roster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I wanted to try and have that,
I
but
got the
so
Top Gun
far
Maverick of that year. That was awesome.
it has not come to pass. I'll tell you what won't pull a Top Gun Maverick. The Crow. Coming out this weekend, August 23rd to 25th. What are your predictions for the remake starring Bill Skarsgård?
I've heard bad things, I think, already from people who have seen it. So I'm going to go sub 10 million because I don't even think the original has enough of a following to merit people wanting to see it. And already word of mouth is saying it's not very good. So I'm going to go sub 10 million, maybe like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm going 7 million. It is not going to get anywhere near the top. It's going to be Alien or
Is
Deadpool.
it going straight to
Yeah.
streaming too, somewhere? Or
I
is it
don't
just, I
think
thought it
so.
was maybe a Netflix movie. I can't remember. I might be
No, I mean,
wrong.
it's in theaters, but it'll very rapidly be on PVOD, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They'll rush it to that. All right, let us now talk about the summer movie season, do some reviews on films that I was able to see. I was able to see quite a lot after, filming had ended. I had missed going to the theaters.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had not been able to go for 2 months. So my return couldn't have had it any better way.
Yeah.
It was the Lion King 30th anniversary. I
Oh,
went to the theater. It was a late showing, which meant no one else was there.
dude,
So
that's
it was just
awesome.
me in the theater with my favorite film.
That's your fucking
It was
dream, bro.
incredible. It was beautiful. I was like, oh my God, movies are amazing. Love
That
this.
had to have been like close to your birthday too.
It was not. It was
Yeah.
it was July 16th. I can tell you the exact date.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought it was closer than that.
because
My boy.
July 15th is when we returned the equipment. July 14th was when we wrapped. So that was the progression there. And then that week, I just went every day to the theaters to see something
No wonder you were
because
still
I had to catch
busy
up.
when I thought you had wrapped already. I was like, man, Ryan hasn't reached out yet. I'm surprised. He said he's back, and then he hasn't really said anything. I guess you were just stuck in the theater. Did you ever see before we get into the list of movies you have lined out here? Did you ever see Furiosa as well? Because I don't see it on the list.
I did see Furiosa.
Did you listen to my review on the box
I
office
listened
show?
to part of it. I know you were disappointed.
I was. Were you
Believe it or not.
disappointed?
No, I saw it in IMAX. Again, I don't think it lives up to Fury Road, but that's almost an impossible bar to reach. I enjoyed my time in there. I thought it has right now. You know how we do those sort of extra awards that we do at the end of the year around the Oscar season. We give the award for best action set piece. At the moment, that is going to Furiosa for the war rig scene because that was phenomenal in the IMAX theater.
When they were doing the chase
So
with the big octopus thing in the air.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a good
the
part.
big octopus scene.
I think I
So
outlined that that was like the best action sequence in the movie, probably.
yeah, so that was awesome. There's a lot to love about it. So I was happy with it. I enjoyed my time in there for sure.
Out of 5?
Uh, Probably a 4.
Really?
Yeah,
That's high. I
it's
think I
either
gave it a
3.5
3,
or 4.
maybe, if not lower. I should look
Mm.
it up. I forget, but yeah, I did not. I was very, very disappointed in the set pieces themselves. And I know a lot of people who like just had a good time and enjoyed it, which I understand. But I just didn't
Dude,
feel any stakes to any of the action. You know what I'm
Chris
talking about?
Hemsworth,
Chris Hemsworth,
amazing,
fantastic, dude,
awesome.
fantastic. There is no hope. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. But again, just the world building of it. I just loved being enmeshed in that world again.
That
That
was fun.
man
Yeah.
had a chariot. He had a
Dude,
chariot
that
in the
shit is
post-apocalyptic
badass. That's one of
diesel punk.
the best vehicles I've seen designed in this world. Is the motorcycle chariot. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's fantastic. The whole like color scheme thing they did with him too when he got hit by that. I forget what it was exactly, but then he becomes red, like his attire is red, and part of his like hair and beard become
Yeah.
red, and he just sticks with it. And he just like rolls with it. Um, I thought that was great. Yeah, he was a big bright spot in that film, and I thought not to, again to Fury Road. It's hard to compare, but the one action set piece that for sure I thought matched the energy, the pace of Fury Road. That war rig thing, that was awesome.
Which
I
is
think it's on
essentially
HBO
just
Max,
yeah,
and I
it
want to go
is, yeah.
rewatch it.
It's essentially just a redux of Fury Road. Is essentially them chasing the war rig on
It is, but
on
I
the
was like,
actual Fury Road. So
that's true. I was very impressed though. Of like, I would have thought he used all put all the ingredients into Fury Road, and he wouldn't have anything else for like a compelling war rig sequence. But no, he had more stuff in the tank, and it was great.
mm.
So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I was a little disappointed with the story. But if you want to hear more about that, go listen to my Furiosa solo episode where I just kind of go stir crazy for 45 minutes talking about it. It's weird, dude, doing a podcast where you're alone just talking to a mic. It's
Hmm.
definitely bizarre. Speaking of episodes that I talked to myself at went crazy for, there was Inside Out 2. I did another one on that. Did you get to check out that episode after you watched Inside Out 2?
I did listen to it, and you said in that episode to remind you about us playing the PS2 and the
Yes.
nostalgia that brought.
Yes, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you reminded me. Yes. Dude, that's what it reminded me. It's like takes me back, you know?
I
That
100%
feeling
agree.
of like enjoying that throwback, of enjoying that aspect of childhood. Loved it.
We got to do that again.
Yes, we do.
That was fun. So we should definitely recapture some of that nostalgia. And then I will also say at the end of that episode, you boasted, you gloated very heavily about how Inside Out 2 is doing.
Hmm.
So screw you for that as well. I got to the end and I was like, he couldn't help himself. He
I
couldn't help
couldn't, dude.
himself.
Dude, I fucking couldn't. Are you kidding me? 1.6 billion? Come on, dude. I could not
Yeah.
fucking help myself. Because I called it
So
at the beginning when we first did our. Because every year, every single year, we do the draft, and I look at my number, the things I picked, and I go, I think I might have fucked up this part. I'm kind of sad about this part. I'm not really looking forward to it. And then some years I do better. This last year I did really good. Coming out of the gates. I most of the time kind of disappoint, or you outperform me. You usually have a shining star or something. This year is the first time that we did a box office draft pick where I looked at my roster and I went, dude, this shit is stacked. I'm gonna fucking win. I was
yeah.
confident out of the gates, and I'm still confident. There has never been a point in this entire 6 months since we've done that pick that I felt like unconfident about this. I felt confident the whole fucking time, and I still do. Dune 2 came out, fucking outperformed what my expectations were.
Mhm.
Inside 2 outperformed. Kung Fu Panda 4 performed. Deadpool 3 outperformed. Dude, I'm fucking killing it, dude. Your
Yeah,
movies
you've been
in the
in the lead the whole
tank.
time. So Inside Out 2, which I did see helped contribute to those numbers there.
Thanks.
Um,
I needed it. Yeah.
I I enjoyed it. Again, I don't have too many thoughts on it. My observation that I had like after I get out of seeing it is one that you sort of touched on in your episode there. Um, it's it's Inside Out. They did it
Yeah.
again,
It's very
and you know
similar.
what? They nailed it again.
Mhm.
It worked. It works really well. I mean, they swap out the friends for, or they swap out family for friends. They swap out like moving and going to a new school and that being this weird, troubling situation for Riley, to hockey camp, going into a new school, going into high school for the first time. So that being the experience that she's dealing with. They swap out sadness as like the antagonistic emotion for anxiety. And then they swap out core memories for core beliefs. So it's pretty much a plug and play of just swap those things out. And then you get some new scenarios with them. But the fundamental approach to it and structure is very similar, but it works. There was this one moment in particular I wanted to shout out of, it's when they're off, like Joy and all the other emotions, and they're trying to get their way back and they're not able to. And it's looking very dire, very bleak. And she's gearing up to say something. And you can always like spot these moments in films when you're like, okay, this is one that the writer was like, this is going to be the big moment. The message is going to be in here. And sometimes it can really hit. Other times it can fall kind of flat, of just like a very on the nose sort of like, this is the film. This is what you're supposed to take away from it. Um, when she said this line, she goes, maybe that's just what happens when you get older. You feel less joy. I was like, oh my God, they nailed it.
That shit goes
They hit
hard.
that on the head. I was like, we're gearing up for it. It's going to happen. And then boom, the way they phrased that was just so powerful. And I think that's the beauty of the original Inside Out and then this one as well. As kids, it's a great way to like teach them how to
Hmm.
think about these emotions. They're
It's
anthropomorphized and
really
a lot
smart.
of it is very fun and interesting and stuff like that. So it's entertaining for them, but it still provides that lesson. But then for adults, people that have like lived through this stuff, and we are much more, uh, far ahead as far as thinking about ourselves and our self awareness and working through our emotions, all of that. They still find really profound ways to capture these like feelings, these thoughts. Obviously, with anxiety being the big one this time, and how that can affect your life and be very damaging if you let it like sort of take control over you. So I think, I mean, Pixar has always been incredible at that, of just making kids films, but it's worth watching for adults as well. And this is no different. I thought it was a very strong addition to that line of films. I thought
Mm.
it was a very worthy successor to Inside Out. I think they can make many, many more of these Inside Out films. I hope they make the third one a little bit quicker than 9 years, because I mean, by the time Inside Out 3 comes out, I mean, all the like kids who were there for the first one are going to be practically having their own kids. So hopefully they'll be a little quicker with it. But I think it was a very strong film. I gave it 4 out of 5, 4 core belief trees out of 5.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and I think I touched upon this a lot in my review, saying that I think it's a really, really good depiction of anxiety, about the positive sides of it in small doses, and then more importantly, like the very, very negative aspects of it when it's unchecked, and how it sort
Mm-hmm.
of just takes over your brain and takes over your beliefs and how it like runs you into the ground. And then I also liked particularly the depiction of the idea of self and like the self tree, and how initially that idea that Joy is trying to push of I am a good person is not inherently a honest depiction of who Riley is, and so that vision of herself is inherently like a bad version of what it should be. In the same way that anxiety's identity of self tree is I hate myself or something like that. It's like I'm a bad person, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
like the combination of the two to create an honest idea of the self is a more accurate representation of like the combination of all these feelings and all these core beliefs coming together to create a full dimensional picture of who Riley is and who she thinks she is in a more honest way. I like the very honest depiction of that, and then it definitely to me, even though it is taking the same blueprint that the first Inside Out is and just running along that blueprint again, it is taking the themes of like your emotions and ramping it up in complexity to a much more complicated. See, like you could watch the first Inside Out 2 at like 6 or 7 and kind of understand and go along with it, maybe like 8, and then a few years later, when you're turning 13 like Riley, if you watch it at Riley's ages, you can understand it more and like go through those emotions with her. So Inside Out 3 could be like when she's like 16 or 17, like about to like in the middle of high school or about to graduate high school, and can deal with even more complicated subject matter and can be like another step forward in her emotional process, which would be very exciting to see. And they could just, if you ask me, they could just run the fucking blueprint again and just send the emotions out.
If it ain't broke,
Yeah,
don't
fucking
fix
A.
it.
Just do it again.
So
But
yeah,
yeah,
who do you think will be the antagonist emotion next time?
dude, fucking depression. It'd be really fucking dark, but
Ultra sadness. It's just
yeah, I feel like
it's
when you get
sadness
to
for
that
later.
age, depression is what kind of could like be the risk of being hit. Depression is like a fucking heavy hitter villain. That's the one that like a lot of people are gonna fucking connect with. And
Yeah.
it's the absence of emotion. So you would just take all the emotions and kick them out, and depression is the only one left.
Mm.
And so you would be running the blueprint again, but it would work. And it would be, dude, it would be a lot. Oh
It'd
man.
be very heavy. Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere that they
Intensely.
considered including depression in Inside Out 2, and they were like, no, we can't. This shit's too fucking heavy. Like, kids are not going to want to watch this shit if we're talking about fucking depression. It's a heavy
Yeah.
hitter, dude. That is like the wombo combo emotion villain, bro. Is depression.
Yeah. It's the final boss for sure.
Yeah,
I think I was thinking shame and or guilt, something like that. Be a compelling one to bring in
sure. But
as
isn't
like an
that? I mean, they
antagonistic
have
one.
embarrassment, which is like a version of shame.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference there. And they
Sure.
even played him like very much of that. Like
Dude, Paul Walter Hauser
it's
collected a
embarrassing, but
fucking bag on that
um,
one. He said 2 lines of dialogue.
he sure did. That was crazy. Um, but yeah, I think either shame or guilt, yeah, something like that, of just like a stronger sense of yeah, just like regret or I don't know ways of like looking poorly at yourself. Um, Depression, yeah, that might be Inside Out 4. That's intense.
Dude, it's a lot. It'd be awesome though. Dude, it's you're right. It's the final boss of your emotions is depression. Let me tell you.
Hmm.
Now, what else did you watch this summer?
So the next one that I've selected is A Quiet Place Day
This
One.
is one I did not
Now,
see.
yeah, A Quiet Place Part Two we did see together, didn't we? That was like our big return to
I
theaters.
believe so, yes.
Yeah. So this Day One, the prequel, I wanted to check it out. And again, just I was going on the run of like all the films that had come out, just using my Regal Unlimited since it went unused for a few months. So this one's starring Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. Getting the whole premise of them being day one of the incident, the alien invasion, but they're in New York, the most bustling city in the world, very loud. So of course, aliens that are very sound sensitive ending up in New York City. It's a great concept. So I was very intrigued by that. Going into it, I think Lupita Nyong'o is incredible and needs to be in many more movies. I don't know why. Ever since she like had that Oscar win, she's just not. I mean, she's been in some things. She was in like Star Wars. She was in Black Panther, but she needs to be leading a lot more things because she's fantastic. And then even blockbusters as well. I want to see her more prominent in blockbusters because yeah, she was fantastic in this. Um, Joseph Quinn. This is my first time seeing him. I know he was in Stranger Things. I know he's going to be in Fantastic Four.
You didn't watch Stranger Things?
Season 4, no, not yet.
Dude, that's like one of the
Probably
better
a Hunter,
seasons.
but
It's awesome.
um, but yeah, season 5. Once that comes around, once they finish it in 2 years and release it, I'll watch season 4 and 5 back to back.
He's also going to be in
But
Gladiator. Dude,
oh, okay, I'll see him again there. But this was my introduction to him, and I'm still a little skeptical. I
really?
think, yeah, I think he he did decent, like nothing wrong against him there. It just wasn't like really connected or bought in to his character, and especially not in the same way that it was with Lupita Nyong'o's.
Mm.
Um,
Did it feel
but
more like an acting thing or a character thing?
I think it was
Or a wombo
a mixture of
combo?
the two. I appreciate the approach they took to that character, which was that he's like a nervous wreck. Like all this stuff is going on around him, and he just does not know how to process it. So Lupita Nyong'o, who she's like a cancer patient, so she's just trying to. She has like a single mission she's trying to do in the city of just like getting to a pizza place that's important to her for reasons they explain later on in the film. But that's all she's trying to do, and she's like, "I'm gonna die anyway. I don't really care about all this stuff." Um, but he, yeah, is very much like a nervous wreck, and so she's helping him along with that, and so they form a friendship around that, and become partners, trying to get to that place in the city. So I don't think there's anything like wrong with the setup to that character, but we also don't learn too much about him. So I think that was a writing flaw, perhaps. But then also, just yeah, certain I don't know acting choices, which is not like it's just an overall thing. Nothing like in particular that I think he could have dramatically changed. I think it was just the vibes. Sometimes you don't fully connect with a character or the way the actor is portraying a character, and that is just what came up here. So maybe in Stranger Things, maybe in Gladiator, Fantastic Four, and those different roles, I'll connect. But the character I did connect with in this film, Frodo the cat.
Ah, it's a
If you
cat.
remember all the trailers, there's a cat sprinkled all throughout it,
Ryan
and
loves
this
cats.
cat is the best. He's
Mm.
so cute, so lovable, and impossibly well trained and quiet. Because again, the whole thing is you can't make noise. This cat does not purr, does not meow, does not like sharpen its claws. This thing is silent. Very unrealistic. But again, he was so cute. And there's one point too where she's just walking through like this apocalyptic landscape of New York, walking the cat on a leash.
Sick.
And that is my dream. Do you know how cool it would be just to be walking around with my cat, having Claymore, having Coco and the other leash as well? That's all I want out of life, to be honest. So
Put
that
your
was really
cats on a
cool.
leash.
No, just be walking around out and about with my cats. That's what I want.
Destroyed New York. Cats on
Yeah,
the leash.
I bet I could take or leave, but it'd be a sight for sure. Um, as far as the rest of the film, I think again the core promise of this prequel was that we would follow these characters in day one as they're figuring out this crazy apocalypse of sound sensitive aliens that will kill you if you make a noise. I really wanted to explore how that goes about getting found out. Like, how do you discover that? And then how do you adjust? And then start making connections with people. Because again, it's New York. It's going to be insanely noisy throughout the entire day there. So they really could have just made it heavily focused in on that. I know A Quiet Place Part Two, the opening of that, if you remember,
Mm-hmm.
was John Krasinski and his family in
It's their
day
day
one,
one,
like when
yeah.
the invasion first happened. But then we cut away from that quickly back to like the present day. In this one, I was hoping we would spend more time in that period where everyone's just trying to figure out what is going on, and they didn't do that. The main Lupita Nyong'o, she gets knocked out fairly early on, and then when she wakes up, she's in a community of people, and they're all already like shushing her because they all figured out you got to be silent to survive.
Disappointing.
And she just gets told that she doesn't figure that out herself. And I was like, I wish we would have just followed the character as she puts those puzzle pieces together. So that was a little disappointing as far as the approach. But
It's like a
there were
community
some
of people and
other.
they're all huddled and they're all trying to be quiet. And there's one guy in the back with like a little bag of chips. And he like slowly puts his hand in.
So I wish it would have gone a different way there. But overall, there were a lot of really cool moments there, a lot of clever uses of like the rules of the world that they have. So there was this big rainstorm going on, lightning and thunder were happening. So there was like this big moment, they're having a heart to heart. And then once they finished there, during the like thunder claps, they would scream, like just straight up this guttural scream because they know they're like never going to be able to release this type of emotion again or that type of noise. I thought that was very powerful. And then there's this other set piece of everyone. It was actually really cool. They would have helicopters flying over,
Mm-hmm.
and they would, be using a speaker system to tell the citizens what's going on. But then as the helicopter's flying over, obviously that's making a ton of noise. So then you just see this trail of those aliens like following in the wake of the helicopter and just destroying everything in its path. Um, but
Sick.
they were telling everyone, hey, go to this particular port. We're going to pick you up on boats. These things can't swim. This is how we'll get you out. So when you see everyone in the city, everyone that was like hunkered down, huddled up, you see all of them start walking in one direction in this massive, it's New York, these big streets. And so it's completely filled up with people. And you start to slowly see Lupita Nyong'o realize the noise floor is inching up and up and up. And that attracts the aliens. So I thought that was a very effective and very tense set piece there of everyone going one direction, making all this noise, and then the aliens start picking up on that. Other set pieces were not so grounded. It was like the two characters running through this glass building, making all kinds of noise, all type of stuff, and it was never really, I don't know, believable that they were able to remain distant enough from those aliens to not get like snatched up. Like we've seen so many other just random people get snatched up for way less noise than what they were making. So stuff like that sort of felt like, okay, we're not really, the stakes aren't quite there. The danger doesn't feel as palpable. But overall, I thought it was a very decent blockbuster, very solid entry into the franchise. Had some really powerful moments there. And the cat, again, was amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
there were two cats, actually. I saw in the credits, Frodo the cat was credited as two different cats.
Dude, sick.
So shout out to both of them. They were amazing. I'm giving it 3 Patsy's Pizzas out of 5.
All right. Not terrible for a third installment, a prequel to I guess like a spin off of a franchise, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Especially a horror movie, which you are not a fan of typically.
That's true. But again, it's one of those, it feels more
Thrillery, I guess.
thriller esque. It has like the jump scares. There were a few in there, but for the most part, I can deal with that if it's a big CGI monster.
Sure.
Now, my next movie, Twisters, which you did not see.
True. But I did watch the first Twister for the first time a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, and what did you think of that?
Um I think the special effects were really cool in a lot of places. I think the tornado in the drive-in theater was really cool. Like the build up to that was awesome. I
Mm-hmm.
thought uh Carrie Elway's dying by the fucking pipe just bursting through the truck and killing the guy driving and then picking it up and blowing up the whole truck was kind of cartoonish but funny.
Yeah,
Uh I thought I didn't care so much about the actual story between like Bill Paxton and it's Holly Hunter, right?
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt. Uh,
Yes.
and Helen Hunt was like not something that I cared about that much, I suppose, or like
Mm-hmm.
his relationship to his fiance Jamie Gertz. Like I didn't care so much about that. I also don't know if I'm a big fan of the idea of it being like a one shot, they're chasing tornadoes in one day. Like it's like they're going for it kind of story. I feel
Yeah.
like it like there's a lot of momentum in it and it like tends to slow down at times when they're not chasing the tornadoes and it just like grinds the movie to a halt. And so it has like some pacing issues. And I feel like if they were going to do that with the pacing, then they might as well have just split it up over like a story that takes place over a week or something. But that wouldn't have made sense with the story of him just trying to get her to sign the divorce papers and then like getting caught up in the whirlwind of finding a tornado. It's just like it's a lot of story all at once. And I would have enjoyed it more if it was like just about people chasing tornadoes. I don't really care about the drama in their marriage and whatnot. So I give it like a 3.5, you know. I give it a 3.5.
Gotcha. Yeah. I also give it a 3. I thought, a lot of it's very cheesy. That's that's a '90s for you, dude. Philip Seymour Hoffman in that film.
Great. Him,
He's an
great. Bill Paxton, great.
unhinged guy.
Love him.
So yeah, a lot of that stuff was fun. They're hamming it up, flying cows,
That was a little
the
silly.
Pepsi, the Pepsi product placement in that.
Sure.
What's another film that has like better Pepsi product than that? They only use Pepsi for those little soda propeller things that they do for the Dorothy machines.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Have you heard the
Um,
story of who's the director? Is it Jan de Bont?
yeah,
Have you heard the story of like Jan de Bont like frustrating the crew and people like threatening to quit? And Steven Spielberg, who's producing it, flies to wherever they're filming, like uh, Oklahoma or wherever the fuck they're filming, and he like has Jan de Bont come out to the plane. And Steven Spielberg walks down the steps, doesn't even step off the plane, and just yells at him for like 10 minutes, and then gets back on the plane and leaves.
I've heard that story. I wholeheartedly hope that it's true
Yeah, that's
because that's
such a
just
funny
awesome.
story. That's such an awesome moment for like a producer. It's crazy that you would charter a plane just to yell at a guy for 10 minutes when you could call him on the phone, but
Yeah,
it's like such a fucking power move. It's such a flex to fly out completely, just to waste 13 hours of your time to fly into the middle of the nowhere in the country, not even step off of like the stairs to the plane, scream at Jan de Bont for being an idiot, and then get on the plane and fly back.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
that's king, true king stuff right there.
Love Steven Spielberg.
So yeah, the original Twister. Again, I think it's just a great cheesy little blockbuster.
Yeah.
And then Twisters, I think is the same. I think it hits the same notes. It hits the right thing that you want out of a popcorn flick. The tornadoes, like the VFX for that, I think is great. I think they have some pretty good set pieces. They have another like movie theater esque thing. It was in a drive-in, but they sort of pay homage to that from the original. There's the rodeo sequence. If you've seen the trailers, you sort of see that in there as well. I thought that set piece was incredible. I won't go into all the stuff in there, but yeah, I thought that was a fantastic thing that they did. Glenn Powell,
Mm.
movie star, bona fide movie star, man. He's
Dude,
got the stuff.
you gotta watch Hitman.
I so desperately want to watch
You
it,
gotta watch
man. I
Hitman,
got to get
man.
on that Netflix stuff again.
So you can listen to my review of Hitman, dude. Hitman's great.
Yeah, so I definitely want to see that, and he is great in this. Daisy Edgar Jones, I think the two of them have pretty good chemistry there. Again, the dialogue isn't always the best, especially some of their like. There's a scene in the car with the two of them. It's not the best stuff, but you go along with it because they're charismatic enough performers. And then I really like what they do with the tornado wranglers in this one.
Mm-hmm.
You get the very, I mean, yeah, with Carrie Always and the very cartoonish villain. They sort of take on that same approach here with the tornado wranglers, but they don't keep it that way. They switch things up with that, give it a little more depth, and so I really appreciated how they included that. I think there were some pacing issues a little later on in the film with Tyler and Kay. That's the characters for Glenn Powell, Daisy Edgar Jones, but I think overall it's just fun. It's just very
Yeah.
solid fun.
Good special effects.
The good special effects,
Good tornado
and
moments.
very solid tornado moments. Again, like I said, that rodeo sequence is fantastic. Like the way that builds and builds and builds, and then where they end up, and even just like the character moment of it as well, I thought was really well handled. There's some, again, silliness, some just things that do not make sense. They make it a point, like multiple times in the film, that they need to go to towns to warn people about tornadoes
Mm-hmm.
and how to like properly take shelter from tornadoes. I would imagine people that live in Oklahoma, especially during what they talk about on the news, like multiple times it's brought up as this is one of the craziest, tornado seasons out there, all these freak events. I feel like people would know that they
Yeah, I mean
need
the
to take
whole
shelter.
plot of the first movie is that they're studying tornadoes so that they can decrease the warning time so that people can be warned as soon as possible. And like
Mhm.
supposedly they do it at the end of the first movie, and now people's warning times have been dramatically decreased, and they should be fine. Like that's the whole idea. And then in this movie, isn't the idea they're trying to stop tornadoes altogether?
Yeah, they're trying to like destroy
Yeah.
tornadoes. Um, but even then, it's like the like it's Oklahoma. Like these people would know how to deal with the tornadoes. So they sometimes they actively they're like, we can't try and stop this tornado or like destroy it. We need to go and warn these people as the tornado is going to approach the town when we could try and stop it here with our technology or whatever it was. So some stuff like that, silly, but obviously it doesn't matter too much. You can't think too hard about it. It's just some fun.
Did
People
it?
ending up in tornadoes, things get picked up, start swirling around.
Yeah.
Just fun.
Did it look good? Was it shot well? Because I mean, it looked good in the trailers.
It is shot well, yeah.
All right. All
From
right.
Minari.
Good follow up to Minari for Lee Isaac Chung.
Very very different film, but you can definitely tell like that whole love that he has for the Midwest out there, or
Mm-hmm.
like the plains and everything. It carries over. There's some very nice
Okay.
shots of just open landscape, open fields, wind farms as well. All that's really well handled. Um, so yeah, I think as far as that, like you can see the moments for sure where it's like, okay, he's able to incorporate those indie sensibilities, those artful sensibilities that he has, and then a lot of the rest of it is the blockbuster stuff.
Yeah.
But
Did you like the
I
line
think it's
where
very
Glenn
solid.
Powell says, "You don't face your fears, you ride them"?
Oh yeah,
Good line.
if you feel it, chase it.
Ah, good.
There's that one a lot too. I think that was my favorite one from it. So yeah, I felt it. I chased it. I'm giving it 3 tornado out of 5. I forget what the thing that they call the stuff they try and disarm, because it's the Dorothy's. That's like the original thing.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
they do play on that, but that's not as fun. They have like the other ones, like the Tin Man and the Lion and all that for these other things. But they don't
Bamboo.
name
They couldn't think of
what they
any other
call
tornado
the.
material other than more Wizard of Oz stuff. They weren't even in the
They did
tornado,
not.
bro. They should have called it Toto.
Yeah,
Boo. Tin Man.
I mean, yeah, I know you can call the tornado killing machine Toto, but there you go, Twisters. I think you should go see it.
I
I
will.
heard it was great in 40x. I was not
Oh,
able to
yeah, I
see it in
bet.
40x, but
That would
if
be
it
a
comes
fun.
around,
That'd be a fun first 40x. I've never done 40x before.
yeah, I've heard very good
I still
things.
regret not seeing Top Gun Maverick in 40x.
Dude, one experience was great. So yeah, I think they're gonna do the same thing because Top Gun Maverick, we saw Sean and I at like Cinema Day. They brought it back for that, so I think they're gonna do the same thing for Twisters
In
because it sold
40x.
out like every day of the week. Every time it was in 40x, it sold out. And then Deadpool and Wolverine came and took all the 40x screens. So
Hmm.
alas, but hopefully we'll get that back. All right, let's move on to Kinds of Kindness, which I did see in my first big sprint at the movie
You're the
theaters.
only other person I know who's seen this movie.
I know you saw it. You're a big Yorgos fan,
Mm-hmm.
especially recent Yorgos. I will say I'm not well versed in Yorgos Lanthimos. I've only really seen The Favorite and Poor Things. I've not seen all his earlier works, so I've heard that this is more akin to those.
Yeah, I've only seen The Lobster in addition to the ones you just said. I haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer or his earlier foreign language works like
Gotcha.
Dogtooth and Alps. I haven't seen those.
Okay.
But I
So,
love The Lobster, dude. The Lobster is probably my favorite movie of his.
dang, and you love The
I
Favorite.
fucking love The
That
Favorite.
was like your one film of that year. So,
But dude, The Lobster is like a work of art. Like it's fantastic.
so Kinds of Kindness. Not your favorite of his, but you're positive on it.
I thought it was incredible. I
Oh
had
wow.
such a good time. It was such a blast in the theaters. And I'm confident that I'm the only motherfucker that's going to think that. It's so out there. It's so bizarre. It's so strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's very slow. It's very long. I
Yes. 2 hours
think,
and 40
yeah,
minutes.
I think I'm one of the only people that is going to like thoroughly enjoy it as much as I do because I just thought it was thrilling. I thought the performances were fantastic throughout. I love the incorporation of like non actors in the supporting roles because I think it makes it even funnier that they like you have like the top actors of our day and they're playing against people who have never acted before, and so the people who have never acted before are like delivering their lines kind of poorly. Like they're doing the best they can, but they just don't know how to act. and like the juxtaposition of them playing against like Jesse Plemons or something, who's acting his fucking heart out. It's just so
Hmm.
funny. It is one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time. I was dying laughing in the theaters. Ryan, your thoughts? I guarantee you did not like it as much as I did.
No, certainly not as much
Yeah,
as you did. I thought it was decent. I didn't hate my time watching it. I agree with everything you were saying there about it being very, bizarre and out there, which I very much appreciate. I think he's taking these bold swings. He's obviously have a very particular style. Like these characters say and do things that are outlandish and absurd, even the like scenarios they are in themselves, because it's an anthology film, so there's three different parts to it. The parts progressively get more and more like outlandish and surrealist. So I think it, as far as like a piece of art, I'm very appreciative of it. As far as a piece of entertainment, I think the first part, no notes. But after that point, I was less enthused
really. The second
about the
part
rest
is
of
my
it.
favorite part.
Really, that was. I thought the premise of it, I
It's
think it
the
was
most
great,
bizarre.
and I really enjoyed that whole, just like that absurd sort of like horror and suspense of this guy thinks that the his wife who has returned is not actually his wife, and just continually picks out these things here and there that she does that does not line up, or like the shoe doesn't fit. So there's like something amiss, and he's the only one that's able to clock it. And he's slowly like starting to go crazy, trying to convince other people that he's not insane and that she isn't real. She's an imposter. So all of that stuff I really liked. I was locked in for that. There's a particular moment where I checked out.
Really.
Do you know what that moment is?
Is it her giving the story to Willem Dafoe about being from an island where dogs are
No, I think
people?
it was already checked out at that point. But again,
Oh,
that part I was like, okay, what are we doing here?
I love
Um,
that. I think it's so funny.
he, it's when he shoots the guy, shoots his hand,
Come
and then
on.
starts licking it. And I'm
Come
like,
on, dude.
what is
It's
going on?
so
We've
funny.
gone off the deep end.
It's awesome.
It was shocking, crazy. Again, it is funny to think back on, but at that point, I was like, what?
That's like the
What is
only
going
part of
on?
that section that I just don't have an explanation for. I just don't know why he does it.
It looked, he was just like, what we need here?
I
What
just
really up the ante here?
yeah, I just
Do this.
fully don't understand why he licks his hand. I think it's absolutely bizarre. But I love the part where Emma Stone is talking to Willem Dafoe and she's like telling him like a story, trying to relate to him. And it's a very specific story of a community where it is the exact same world with people, except the people are dogs and the dogs are people. And the dogs give the people all the chocolate because they can't eat chocolate, which is why she's upset. Like she's like giving the answers to where she's from, but it's she's like
Hmm.
relating it as like a metaphorical story. And Willem Dafoe is like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" and then she goes home, and there's like the very long, thrillery, intense bit of Jesse Plemons like slowly making her cut parts of her off to feed to him, and like
Hmm.
getting more and more violent. And she's like becoming more and more obedient about it to like prove that she is who she is. And she eventually like cuts her own body open and dies from it. And then he opens the door and the real Emma Stone is standing there. And then it's like a hard cut to like the music video of like the dog world of I love the
Yeah.
the dogs driving the car and they run over the human who's like dead on the road. And then there's the dog like just slurping like a smoothie. And the funniest bit, the hardest I laughed out loud was the dog who hung himself. I think it's such a funny bit that in this world of dogs, there's dog suicide. I think
There
it's
you
so
go.
funny. He's just dangling there.
Yeah. So
It
that's
made me think about Barry and how much Barry would hate to see that.
yeah, that'd be crazy. Oh my god. Yeah. So that
It's
was the
so
second
funny.
part.
I love the second part so much. First part, you're right. Absolutely no notes. It makes perfect sense. It works really, really well. If he had taken that premise and stretched it out by like another 45 minutes, he could have had his own solo movie that would have made like perfectly flawless sense and would have been really entertaining. The second one, I could
Hmm.
see where people would get lost. I was the most entertained by it because I thought it was the funniest and the wildest and the most like intriguing of me like sitting there and questioning things about like what's going on. And the third one is the one that kind of loses me. I wish it wasn't the last one. I think it
Mm.
ends. I think the way the third one ends is the best way to end the movie.
It has a strong
It has a
ending for
strong
sure.
ending yet, but that's the one that kind of loses me towards the middle of like I don't care as much as what I'm going. Before we get to the third one though, in the first one, when when he like loses grace with Willem Dafoe, his character,
Yeah.
and Willem Dafoe breaks into the house, I thought instead of stealing the McEnroe racket, I thought it would have been way funnier if he fixed it. Like it was just a normal racket. I was really hoping he was gonna do it, and he doesn't. He just takes the racket back, which is disappointing. I thought it'd be so funny if it was just like a normal racket now and not like a broken one.
That would have been good, yeah.
Wasted
So the third
opportunity.
one, I agree that a very strong ending, but the middle portion there, I don't think I was in love with. Again, this is the one as well where from the jump, it's going crazy of these Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, are like investigators, but they're investigators on behalf of a cult that are trying to find some like prophesized supernatural, I don't know, mystical being that will be able to resurrect people or something like that. So it's already leading into that territory, and I thought I just didn't get as much as I wanted from the mystery component of like them investigating and trying to get to the bottom of who could this person be that's prophesized by the cult, or the comedy stuff. I don't think for the most part it was hitting in the same as some of the other months. I also
You didn't think it was
you
funny when she walked into the room to have sex with Willem Dafoe and he's laying on the bed like all baby girl. I thought this dude, Willem Dafoe is the best
no.
moments in this movie. In the first one where he's like having a really intense the first time we meet him and like Jesse Plemons is talking to him and he like makes him go back in and out of the room to redo it. And then he finally stands up and he's wearing like tiny booty shorts. Come on, dude, that's so good.
Yeah, I was having very many laughs throughout my
Ah, you should have
viewing of
seen it with
this.
me, dude. I was cracking up.
Yeah.
I think it's
So
so funny. I think it's just such a funny movie.
so yeah, on those two fronts, I wasn't that compelled by that stuff, and even though it was fairly strong, I feel like from Emma Stone, and obviously once we get to know why she doesn't want to be at home and is moving towards this cult, I wanted to just get even more like from that character, dive even deeper into her there. I feel like we spent a lot of time in this section. I feel like it may have been the longest of them, but it
It
I
felt the
wanted more. Like I
longest.
wanted a different approach, but then also just more from Emma Stone and her character in that. So yeah, that one felt, and again, it's a long movie, as you said, so I was definitely feeling the length at that point, um, which brought it down in my estimation. But overall, like Kindness of Kindness, I think it's a very clear, has very clear connective tissue between them of all these people are longing for some kind of affection or some kind of love, and then they're seeking it out from these terrible places, or just very abusive or manipulative places. I feel like that is very clear. In the three different stories, he has different takes on them. They're very unique and strange in their own ways, so that's compelling to watch. But I just know that overall, I clicked with it quite as well as you did. So
Did you
for
stick around
me,
during the credits to watch RMF eat a sandwich?
I did. That was a good, good bit. That was a good bit. Um, but for me, I'm giving it 3 broken tennis rackets out of 5.
Dude, I give it like 4.5. I think it's fucking fantastic.
Wow,
I
that's huge.
loved it. I
I
had
gotta,
so much fun in the theaters. I think it's really, really funny. I think it's so bizarre and out there. I think I can understand why I know why people don't like it. I understand why people like would rate it low. I get it. I fucking get it. But
mhm.
I had so much fun and I think watching it I understand like the absurdity of it and why he's choosing to make it so absurd and I find it really really funny. And I think he's really really good at balancing incredibly like funny sort of awkward weird absurd moments and then very quickly turning to incredibly tense moments with these characters.
Hmm.
It's a very original story. Stories are always incredibly original, and so to get that amount of tension out of a story that you completely created on your own is like incredibly impressive. Like it's not based on any kind of material that we already know. Like these completely original characters, and he's like bringing out like incredibly tense moments. When Jesse Plemons drags out RMF onto the road and like walks over and starts the car and then runs over him twice. That shit's
Wild.
crazy, dude. That shit is insane. Also,
So yeah,
thoughts on Jesse Plemons?
he's
He's
fantastic.
fucking
I
killing
mean,
it, dude.
we then knew
This is
this.
one of his
This man
best
is
performances of all time.
he's remarkable. Wins that Oscar. That's all I gotta
That's what
say.
I'm saying,
Wins
man.
that Oscar.
Also, I love the punchline of he's like he's like missing his wife is missing at sea. We've learned that he's very stressed out. His friends have come over for dinner. They're stressed out with him. She might be dead. He wants to watch a video. They're like, I don't know if it'd be the right time. He's like, please, it would really help right now. Please, can we watch it? It's, it's him and his wife and his friends just having like an insane orgy. It's such an awkward. It's so good. It's so funny. Come
It's
on,
just,
man.
I mean, that is absurd. It's like, why didn't they just? They could have left him alone to watch it. Why didn't he have a copy of it or something like that? Like he needs to go over to their
He wanted
house.
to watch.
And they
No,
need
that's
to
their
sit with
house.
him to watch it. That's
He's at his own house. He just wanted them to watch it with him, which is
he
even
just seems
funnier.
like
He's like, "Please, can we watch it together?
I
Please."
need companionship
He
with
begs
this.
them to
That's
watch it
crazy.
with him, and they're like, "I don't know if we should." He's like, "Please, please, can we watch it?" It's so good. I
Yeah.
love the
So
second section. I think it's really, really funny. I think it's very tense. I think a lot of the lines that the police chief delivers are really funny.
that is true.
There's
Yeah.
really good bits in it. There's very good bits. I had a good time.
Hey, I'm glad. So we'll definitely be seeing that on your top 10 list,
Most likely, yeah.
and something that'll appear on my top 10 list. Trap.
Really? Was it good?
Absolutely not.
Fuck. God damn it, dude. I wanted it to be good so bad.
It is decent. I
Okay,
will
I'm
say
still
that.
gonna go see it because I
I
really want
had
it
a
to be
good
good.
time.
I said it earlier. M Night Shyamalan is my fucking idol in the filmmaking world, just because he self finances everything. I think it's such a bold thing to do, and it's like it would be my end goal to be able to just self finance all my movies. It would be so awesome. So he's my role model in the film world. I look up to M Night Shyamalan, and so I always want his movies to be good. I always want him to make money, and I need to go
Did
see
you
Trap so I can
see
support him.
did you see Knock at the Cabin?
No,
Did you see Old?
no. I want them to be good, and I keep seeing reviews, and they end up not being good. But dude, Trap, the premise was really good. I watched the trailer; it was really good. It got me excited. I still really want to see it. Please tell me it's at least decent.
It's decent.
Thank
Like I said,
God.
the portion that you see all throughout the trailers of the concert and the concert venue and this like cat and mouse thing where he's a serial killer and he's trying to get out, but he's attending this concert with his daughter. It's like a massive concert, like a Taylor Swift type concert. All of that stuff I think is great. Is it ridiculous? Yes. Are people making absurd choices that are very contrived? Yes, but it's very fun. There's just something delightful about seeing Josh Hartnett, who's fantastic in this, so good, of him just going around and being like a very clear sociopath as he's talking to these people and like trying to convince them to like help him out in some way, or oh hey, give me some information here, or oh hey, what's the like code that we need to get to this next place. Like the things that he does is so silly, so stupid, but very fun to watch. There's a lot of great bits in there too. It's very funny as well. Like there's this whole subplot of the daughter's friends that she's like having troubles with, and the mom of that friend is also there, and she keeps like running into Josh Hartnett as he's walking around, like trying to find ways out of the concert venue. So all that stuff is just so entertaining, so fun, and there's a lot of good tense moments in there. Like there's a couple things that he ends up doing that really pushed the envelope as far as like, yeah, this guy is going to do anything to get out of here.
I mean, he's a
Um,
serial killer, you know?
oh, for sure, for sure. But it's a great like thing. Like he can't be too obvious. He can't get found out by his daughter. Um, so I thought all that was great. Um, this isn't really a spoiler. Maybe it is. Actually, I won't say
Yeah, don't
because I
say.
want you to
I
go
want
in
to
as much
watch
as
it.
possible. I'll just say there's sections to the film, and each one gets successively or progressively more absurd, and like the silliness that M. Night Shyamalan is associated with a lot of times. Because again, he's got great premise, great concepts, but when you look at it a little too long, it all starts to fall apart. I don't think that taints the enjoyment factor for it, but it does just get a little too like silly and contrived as things keep happening. But there is something else that's like buried within one of the later sections that I think is a great way to keep things fresh and interesting. So I had a good time for the most part. It again, it's not a home run, not the greatest thing. It will not be on my top 10, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time watching it.
Out of
So I'm
5?
giving it 3 Lady Raven concerts out of 5.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. All right. And then the final one I'm going to talk about real quick, one that I did not actually see in theaters. I caught it on Peacock at home, and I am very upset that I wasn't able to see it in theaters. Monkey Man. It was awesome.
Really?
It was great. And I wasn't even able to see it in like one full go. I saw it in like chunks. I
Sure.
think it was 3 separate viewings maybe, which is very bad. But a testament to the film. I was having a great time each time I put it on. It was still great, still had that like energy to it. The action
Mhm.
in this is really really solid. It's not as I mean it very much takes inspiration from things like John Wick, The Raid, all that stuff. And it wears its inspiration on its sleeves, but the action, while not as clean and precisely choreographed as all those other things, it hits. Like there's just something very gnarly and scrappy and gritty about it. Some intense kills in this as well. It's one of those things where like he's just grabbing any object he can and doing any like dirty tactic he can as well. If he runs out of hands, he's not afraid of using teeth. This man will do anything to survive. So I think the action here was great. There's a sequence that it starts as like a bathroom fight, goes into a car chase, goes into a foot chase, and then goes into a fight in a brothel before ending up again in the city on rooftops. That's a great sequence. And it has a very nice ebb and flow to it as well. There's like a period of time where like everything is very still and quiet and we stop and we're thinking, okay, that was the end of the sequence. But then he just like picks it up again and keeps going.
Sick.
That stuff is awesome. And then the other element I really appreciate is it's not purely just like a man on a personal quest of vengeance. They touch on the larger like socio-political climate of India, and they incorporate, which again, I'm not 100% on what exactly is going on over there, but I just know that from the film at least, there's this merging of religion and a political party, and that has caused a lot of strife and issues. And his particular community, like Dev Patel, the character, his home essentially got destroyed, and his mother got killed because they were trying to reclaim, I think, the sacred land was what it was about.
Mhm.
And so they're incorporating this larger, political messaging into the film as well, which I think helps to set it apart and bring in other things and broaden the scope of like what the character is trying to do. So I really appreciate that aspect. Um, I will say there's a lot of flashbacks,
Mm.
probably too many flashbacks. I think
Okay.
it kills the pacing in certain portions. It's Deb Patel's like directorial debut,
Yeah.
the man went through it on his production,
Oh, yeah, I know the
breaking
stories, yeah.
hands, all that stuff. Like it was
Having to shoot on
insane.
phones.
And so there's definitely a bit of messiness here and there, but for the most part, for it being like his debut and for it being such a troubled production, again, I think it started back in like COVID times. I thought it was an amazing experience. So I knew it was well received, but I did not expect to truly be in love with it as much as I did love it. So I'm a big fan of Monkey Man. It is going to be a 4 out of 5 for me.
That's really good. Good for Dev Patel right out the gates. That's the one I do need to catch. I guess I could just watch on Peacock now. And I got to catch up on a lot of these, you know. I got a lot of catching up. I haven't been to the theaters in like a month and a half.
You sure do.
But go watch Hitman. Go watch Hitman tomorrow, bro. Netflix.
We got to figure out our the Netflix situation.
Oh,
We'll
correct.
talk. We'll talk off air. But
don't have Netflix.
we got to figure that out. And then what I actually got to watch is Deadpool and Wolverine because that will be our next episode.
Yes, indeed. You do need to watch that. I think you will
This
be. I think you will be entertained at least.
Interesting. Very vague.
Yeah.
Very curious about that.
We'll see.
But yeah, we'll chat.
Indeed. For now, that's all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
And if you like the show, please give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of your day.